Have you ever felt like there has to be a better way to work? Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea about how to transform our workplaces, to stop building them like cold, hard machines and start nurturing them like living, breathing things with a soul.
And let's just get real for a second. The way we work right now, it isn't really working for a whole lot of us. And it's not just the folks on the front lines. This quote from Frederic Laloux's incredible research points out something shocking. Even the people at the very top, the leaders, often feel a profound sense of emptiness.
And the numbers, well, they absolutely back this up. 65%. That's how many employees, according to global surveys, are either checked out or actively disengaged from their jobs. That is a massive number of people just going through the motions every day.
So this kind of forces us to ask a really big question, doesn't it? Especially for those of you in leadership positions. Is this it? Is this the best we can do? Or could there be a more fulfilling, more human way for us to organize ourselves and get things done?
You know, to figure out where we might be going, it really helps to take a quick peek in the rearview mirror. How we work has changed a lot over time, and understanding that evolution, that's the key.
So, very quickly, you can think of our organizational models evolving through a few key stages, each with its own metaphor. We had these rigid, top-down amber organizations, built just like an army. Then we evolved into what most of us know today, the orange organization, run like a super efficient machine. And lately, we've seen the rise of the green model, which thinks of work like a family.
That orange paradigm, that's where most of us live and work. And look, it's given us incredible things. So much innovation and wealth came from treating companies like complex machines you could engineer for profit. But it's also the source of that soulless feeling we talked about. Because when you think about it, a machine isn't a place for a soul, right?
So what if we're on the cusp of the next big thing? What comes after the army, the machine, and even the family? Well, there's an emerging model that some thinkers are calling teal.
And this, right here, is the absolute core of the idea. It's a total flip in the metaphor. We stop thinking of our company as a machine that we need to control, and we start seeing it as a living system, an organism that has its own intelligence that we need to learn to sense and listen to.
So how do you actually build one of these teal organizations? Well, it all rests on three foundational breakthroughs that challenge basically everything we think we know about work. They are self-management, wholeness, and what's called an evolutionary purpose.
Let's dig into that first one, because honestly, it might be the most mind-bending of all. I want you to just imagine, for a second, a huge, effective organization with no bosses, no hierarchy, no middle management at all.
And this isn't just a fantasy. This quote comes from a nurse at a Dutch healthcare organization called Buurtzorg. They have thousands of employees and 0 managers. By empowering small, self-managing teams of nurses, they slashed bureaucracy, got better patient results, and they gave their nurses that feeling of purpose back. They got their jobs back.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. No bosses? That sounds like total chaos. But it's not a free-for-all. It's actually a very structured system, just a different kind of structure. It's built on peer relationships and commitments we make to each other, not to a boss.
So what does that look like in practice? Well, think about conflict. Instead of running to a manager, a company like Morningstar, which is the world's biggest tomato processor, by the way, uses a simple, clear process driven entirely by peers. It's structure, just without the boss.
Okay, so if self-management rewires the power structure, this next breakthrough, wholeness, is all about transforming the culture. It's basically an invitation to finally take off that professional mask we all learn to wear.
You know the drill, right? At work, we're supposed to be rational. We're supposed to check our emotions, our intuition, our messy human parts at the door. Wholeness flips that script. It says, hey, let's create a space where you can show up as a whole person, not just the work version of you.
And you know, when people actually feel safe enough to be themselves, something truly magical happens. You build this incredible community, this fabric of trust and resilience. This isn't just some fluffy, feel-good idea. It's what makes an organization incredibly strong and able to adapt to anything.
All right, on to our final breakthrough. This one is all about strategy and how we think about the future. And it starts by asking us to do something that feels, well, pretty unnatural for most leaders, to let go of trying to predict and control everything.
Okay, stick with me, because this is a big one. The idea here is that the organization itself has a life of its own, a purpose that wants to emerge. And our job, as people inside it, isn't to force a 5-year plan from the top down.
Our job is to listen, to sense where the organization is trying to go.
The perfect example? Patagonia. Remember their famous ad that said, "Don't buy this jacket"? It makes zero sense from a traditional business perspective, but it was a perfect, pure expression of their purpose, to help the planet. They were listening to that purpose, not to a sales forecast.
So you see, the fundamental question of strategy completely changes. It's no longer leaders in a boardroom asking, what future should we create? Instead, it's everyone, at every level, sensing into a different question. What does this organization want to become? What purpose is it trying to serve in the world? We move from planning to listening.
So this is the question I really want to leave you with. Take a hard look at your own organization, your team, your company, and ask yourself this. Are we trying to operate a machine? Are we pulling levers and trying to control it for a predictable outcome? Or are we trying to steward a living system with a life and a purpose that's just waiting for us to listen? The answer? Well, it just might change everything. Thanks for tuning in.